Mary, what you doing?
I am chopping off a sunflower.
So this bed right here, quite literally, is one of my very favorite beds. These are giant logs. I mean, they are giant. They're buried beneath wood chips, but we did hugelkultur underneath, and it's a pretty good size bed. It's easily 10 by 10. Looks smaller, doesn't it? And that's all kale that literally produced until December. I was harvesting kale through December. We had a pretty mild winter here, and then we didn't. And we had some massive cold. So Mary's helping me chop this up. These are just literally how tall. These are like 4 or 5 feet high stalks. Yep, out of breath. We're working our little buns off out here. Of kale and green kale, curly green kale. And we're going to chop them up, put them back in the bed, and then put 3 inches of manure, composted organic manure, on top. And we've got, let's see, we'll have 5 beds finished by the time we're done here today. So I'll do a span of all of them when I'm done. But this one is one of the last ones. Mary's working on what was the potato bed last year, but I feel like we're going to probably make that a melon bed. It's just a good location for a melon, I think. All right, that's it so far. This is my sweet Mary helping me get my favorite bed in order, chopping carefully. Good job. These are all the kales out of this bed, and we're just going to throw this all back in, right?
Right.
All right, so I'm going to talk about how I amend my soil. So tomatoes and cucumbers, well, tomatoes and peppers are in their own little class. Cucumbers, not so much. The main thing with cucumbers is they love direct sow. And I've learned that through mistakes. But what you see here is carrot pulp that's been cooking for about a week out here in the sun that I just dumped in the middle of one of my favorite beds. This will be my greens bed. So I nourish all my beds, but I do babysit the ones that I like the best. So we do something called sheet composting, lasagna gardening. There's lots of fun names for it. There's Diligent Mary, still chopping away. Thank you, Sweet Pea. But I will spread that out very thin, and that was from our juicing day. And if you've watched any of my videos, we meander all over the place. But we're big juicers here. We juice once a month, sometimes every 3 weeks. It just depends. Sometimes I'll do some juice fasting, and I'll do more juice. But all of us drink it, all 5 of us in our house. And I sow into other people's health too. But anyway, that's the pulp from all of it. Now I give a good bit of it to my chickens, and I throw it into their food, and I throw it out for them just to eat in their run. But this is a good probably, I would say probably about maybe 4 gallons worth of pulp right there. You could totally put it into muffins, but we don't. So it just goes back into the bed in a very thin layer. And then I will put some broken up leaves on top. As you can see, there's leaves everywhere here. So I'll spread that out, and I'll just put brown leaves on top, and then I'm going to put my compost on top, and then that's going to cook and get ready for me for when I'm ready to do some direct sowing. So this is actually, I'll do a little direct sowing here, but some of this will be plants that I'll put in later. Good job, my bear. So everything's looking lovely. We'll give you a span of what we finished today when we're all done. All right, so we've got that spread out all over the garden in this bed, and it's a 10 by 10 bed. And what I'll do now is every month we juice, the carrot pulp will get shared with another bed. So this bed will not get any more carrot pulp until every bed has had some. So, but this one, and I've been doing this all winter, and it's super easy to do it in the winter because there's no smell, there's no flies. And even right now, we're still in winter, but it's a nice springy day. So we're getting a ton of work today that we would normally not get done if the temperatures were not so wonderful right now. So I will put our 3 inches of compost on top of this, and that'll be it. This bed will be just waiting for planting and fish manure that I'll put on there too. And you take care of your soil, and your soil takes care of you. You do not have predators when you have happy soil. So your plants can resist and repel. So we're hopeful for a much better year. Last year was rough, but we did a spring garden, and we made our beds literally the year we planted them, which is really hard. So if you want healthy crops and drought resistant too, with the different things that we do with the sheet composting, underneath all of this is hugelkultur, We had 2 monster trees that we took down in our yard that were diseased, and then we had other trees, and we just dug underneath all 15 beds, and we put all that debris underneath and wood chips and chicken manure and chicken scraps from their coop. And so that's down below, composting that will compost over the next 10 years. So what's above, it takes a bit longer to build than 1 season. And like I said, we had a pretty rough batch of topsoil that we bought that was organic last year, and it was a lot of sand, unmixed in clay, and it was just rough. So we had predators like crazy, so we are working super hard. We've been putting leaves in our garden all winter and all fall, collecting them from whoever will give them to us. And there we go. This is going to be a lovely bed. It doesn't look like a whole lot of much, but this is where we're going to plant our green peas this year. And we're going to make a little teepee. And we just saved and harvested some of the Jerusalem artichoke. This one right here, quite literally. It was, I don't know, probably a good 20 feet in the air. So that's going to be our leader. And we're just going to do like a half teepee in this bed. I think it's really pretty when you have stuff like that climbing. All right, well, here's our garden tour number 1. We've had a really successful day, right, Miss Mary? Strawberries don't need much of anything. They're happy. They're already popping out color. All right, in this bed, we'll be doing some direct sow in. And these were an ugly mess when we came out here today, weren't they, Mary?
Yeah.
But we had tons of leaves, and we've been sheet composting and lasagna gardening all winter. So all of that was in there. We just broke down a bunch of twigs and debris that was left over from last year. So that's bed number 3 that we cleaned out. That's number 4, and of course we already showed you the pea bed. And Mary's been chopping up all of our kale stems. There's only just a handful left there. Strawberry. Tomato beds will be the next to get attention, but obviously we're not planting these till May. We had hardly any disease on our tomatoes, but we're still going to burn them. And we're going to rehang our cattle panels. You can probably see it on this one a little bit better. That was super successful. We copied Jess of Roots and Refuge, and we put our T-post in there. We did attach them with zip ties, but we're going to take them down, burn all this down, and we're going to reattach them with metal wire. So when we get to where we want to burn everything and be sure there's no disease left, we don't have to worry about the zip ties melting. So we'll detach them, rip everything out, give a good burn, have wood ash in there, which is always lovely. This bed we haven't done much with, but that was potatoes last year. We got a good harvest. It's a really tiny bed. So we're going to think on what we're going to do with that. This was our potato bed last year, but this is kind of like a lone bed all by itself with lots of peripheral space. And I think that's going to make a great melon bed because then it has room for melons to sprawl out. So we'll see how that goes. And that's our final tomato bed. Same thing, we actually did a little bit of cukes on this side, and we did one of those little wagon wheel trellises, arch, whatever you want to call them. Kind of hard to see it right now. It was gorgeous. But we got whacked with cucumber beetles, you name it, we got it last year. But our soil, like I said, was bad. We have worked all year. This bed just got a load of hay from the chicken coop. So, and this bed won't be planted until late spring, early summer with cucumber seeds, direct sow. So we won't even put, yep, you can clip those off. Thank you, Mary, my good little helper. So this will all get a good burn because we had that bacterial wilt that comes with the beetles that come with that. I don't know. I've never had more predators than I had this year. And then this bed is already ready for some direct sow for sweet peas. And that is it. We're going to have a nice fire out here tonight and grill out some hamburgers and relax from our hard afternoon of work after a long day of homeschool. Mary, thank you for helping Mommy.
You're welcome.
Can you say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.